Good morning students. This is a video for the students of class 6th, subject science, chapter number 5, separation of substances. This is your summary lecture. So children, there are many instances when we notice a substance being separated from a mixture of materials. Like this first picture shows the tea leaves are separated from the liquid with a strainer while preparing tea. Okay. And the second picture shows that milk or curd is churned to separate the butter. Means butter is taken out by churning milk or curds. It means these are some separation techniques that we used in our daily life. But why would we need to separate substances? Why do we separate substances? And what is the purpose of separation? In this table, column 1 shows few processes of separation, and second column shows the purpose of separation and the way separated components are mentioned in column 3. However, the information given in column 2 and 3 is jumbled up. Now, can you match each process with its purpose and the way separated components are used? Means we have to match each process with its purpose and the way separated components are used. So students, if we want to separate stones from rice, then what is the purpose? To remove impurities or harmful components. This is the purpose for separation. Okay, and we can separate it by throwing away, right? Similarly, churning milk to obtain butter, the purpose is to separate two different but useful components, and for doing this we use both the components. Similarly, for separating tea leaves, the main purpose is to remove non-useful components. So students, now we will study about various methods of separation. That how can we separate the two components? Okay, how can we separate two components from a mixture? So there are 4 methods. First is hand picking, second is threshing, third is winnowing, and the last one is sieving. These are the methods of separation. So let us study about each method one by one. Our first method is hand picking method. The method of separating impurities from hand is called hand picking. Like if we separate the impurities by our hands, then this method of separation is called hand picking. This method of hand picking can be used for separating slightly larger size impurities like the pieces of dirt, stones and husk from wheat, rice or pulses. It means this method is used for separating larger size impurities. Okay. Now this picture shows the hand picking method. you can see in the first picture that we can remove the stones from the pulses with the help of hands. So this is your hand picking method. Okay, means the method of separating impurities by the hand is called hand picking method. Hand picking method is a convenient method of separating substances, and the quantity of such type of impurities is usually not very large, right? We can remove these impurities by our hands. Next method is threshing. Now, what is threshing? The process that is used to separate grain from stalks, etc. is called threshing. In this process, the stalks are beaten to free grain seeds. Okay, and in this way we can separate the grain from stalks. So I am repeating, the process that is used to separate grain from stalks is called threshing, and in this process the stalks are beaten to free the grain seeds. This picture shows the threshing process, and this method is mostly used by the farmers to separate grain. Okay, and how they separate the grains? Actually, they beat the stalks on the ground, and in this way the grains are separated from the stalks. Okay, so this is your threshing process. It is done with the help of bullocks, and machines are also used to thresh large quantities of grain. Means nowadays machines are used to thresh large quantities of grain. Okay. Now the next method of separation is winnowing. What is winnowing? The method of separating components of a mixture by wind or by blowing air is called winnowing. Okay, winnowing is used to separate heavier and lighter components of a mixture by wind or by blowing air. Means in this method we separate the impurities with the help of wind or by blowing air. The impurities which is lighter blown by the air, and in this way we can separate the two components from a mixture. This method is commonly used by farmers to separate lighter husk particles from heavier seeds of grains. Because we know that the husk particles are very light, so they can be easily blown by the air. Okay, and in this way husk particles separate from the seeds. Okay, so this is the way of separation. This picture shows the winnowing process. In this picture you can see the husk particles are carried away by wind. It means the husk particles are separated from the grains with the help of wind. It means for separating the heavier and lighter components of a mixture we can use this method. Okay. Next method of separation is sieving. Now what is sieving? Sieving is used to separate the larger sized impurities from the fine, means very small particles. Okay, I am repeating. Sieving is used to separate the larger sized impurities from the fine particles. Sieving allows the fine floor particles or any other small particle to pass through the holes of the sieve, while the bigger impurities remains on the sieve. Means the small particles can pass through the holes of the sieve. And this sieving is used when the components of a mixture have different sizes. Okay, sieving is used when the components of a mixture have different sizes. Like, for example, in a flour mill, impurities like husk particles are very small, and stones are removed from wheat before grinding it by using this sieving technique. Okay, in a flour mill, impurities are removed by this sieving method. For example, to remove the impurities from the flour, we use a sieve and pour the flour into it. We know that the flour particles are very small, so they can pass through the small holes of the sieve, and the impurities, means the larger size impurities, remains on the sieve. So in this way we can separate the two components of a mixture. Another example is for removing the pebbles and stones from sand, we use sieving method. Okay, means the pebbles and sand can be removed by this sieving method because the sand particles are very small and they can pass through the holes of the sieve, but the stones are larger in size, so they remains on the sieve. So in this way we can separate pebbles and stones from sand by sieving. So children, sometimes it may not be possible to separate components of a mixture by winnowing and hand picking. For example, there may be lighter impurities like dust or soil particles in rice and pulses. So how can we remove these types of impurity? Like, we can separate the stones from rice and pulses, means the larger impurities, by hand picking. But how can we remove the lighter impurities like dust or soil in rice and pulses? How are such impurities separated from rice or pulses before cooking? Rice or pulses usually washed before cooking, right? We wash them before cooking. When you add water to these, means when you add water to rice and pulses, the impurities like dust and soil particles get separated, right? When you add water to these, the impurities like dust and soil particles gets separated. These impurities go into water, which becomes little muddy. Now what will sink to the bottom of the vessel? Like when you add water to rice and pulses, then what will sink to the bottom of the vessel? Rice or dust? What will sink? Rice. Rice will sink to the bottom of the vessel. Now, what is the reason why the rice will sink? Because the rice particles are much heavier than the dust particles, and the particles which is heavier will sink to the bottom. Okay. And after that, we tilt the vessel and remove the dirty water. This is called sedimentation. What is sedimentation? When the heavier component in a mixture settles after water is added to it. Like when we add water to rice, then the rice particles will sink bottom to the vessel, and we can pour out the dirty water, and in this way we can separate the impurities. So this process is called sedimentation. When the heavier component in a mixture settles after water is added to it, this process is called sedimentation. Now this picture shows sedimentation process in which sand is. In this method, when muddy water is kept undisturbed for some time, then mud settles down, or we can say the soil settles down, and the clear water remains in the upper part, and this can be separated slowly by pouring clean water into another vessel, and the sediments are left behind, means the soil are left behind, which is called sediments. Okay, so in this way we can separate the mud from the water. When the water along with the dust removed, this process is called decantation. Okay, what is decantation? When the water along with the dust removed, this process is called decantation, and the soil or any other impurity which is left behind, that is called precipitate or sediments. Okay, this picture shows the decantation process. So this is all about sedimentation and decantation. If we take a muddy water in a beaker, then the mud particles settles down, means the sand settles down, and we can separate the water which is in the upper part by pouring it into the another vessel. So the first process is sedimentation, and the process pouring clear water into the another vessel is called decantation. So children, we can also separate oil and water from their mixture by using this method. Suppose we have a mixture of oil and water. So if a mixture of such liquids, like if a mixture of oil and water is allowed to stand for some time, then they form two separate layers, and the top, means the top layer, can be separated by decantation. Okay, this picture shows that how can we separate oil and water. You can see in the first picture that oil and water make two separate layers. The top layer is of oil, and the second picture shows that by decantation we can separate oil from water. Okay, by pouring oil into the another vessel, and this is decantation. So sedimentation and decantation method can be used to separate oil and water. Okay. Now our next method of separation is filtration. Now what is filtration? The separation of insoluble impurities with the help of filter paper or filtering medium is known as filtration. Means if we want to separate the insoluble impurities, means the impurities which can't be dissolved in water. So if we want to separate insoluble impurities, then we can use this method, and the separation can be done with the help of filter paper. For filtration, filter paper can be folded twice as shown in the figure. Like, first of all, fold filter paper in half, okay, and after that second fold is fold into quarters as shown in this picture, with the top section smaller than bottom, and after that tear off corner of smaller section and then open this cone. In this way we can make a cone of filter paper. Okay. Now fit this cone in a glass funnel. This is a funnel, and at the mouth of the funnel we fit this cone. We will fit this cone at the mouth of the funnel. Now pour the impure water into the funnel with the help of glass rod. Okay, pour the impure water into the funnel with the help of glass rod slowly. And when you pour the impure water, you will see that the clean water will get collected in the glass beaker, and the impurities will be left behind on the filter paper. Means it remains on the filter paper, and the water get collected in the glass beaker which is under the funnel. Okay. This picture shows the filtration process. First of all, we fit a cone, fit the filter paper cone at the mouth of the funnel, and after that pour the impure water into the funnel with the help of glass rod. This is a glass rod, okay, in which we pour the impure water. And when you pour the impure water, then what happens? The water get collected into the beaker which is under the funnel, which is kept under the funnel. This is a clean water, and the impurities will remain onto the filter paper. In this way we can separate impurities.
Evaporation. Now what do we understand by evaporation? The process of conversion of water into its vapor is known as evaporation, children. We utilize this method for separating the water substances mainly. Okay, let's have an activity to understand evaporation. Suppose we need to separate salt and water. Okay. How do we separate, children? Take a container, lit a burner below this, okay. What do you observe, children? that suppose I had taken the water under this container mixed with salt. So this is salt plus water. Now let this burner, children. What you will observe that the water will start evaporating after some time. Okay. As it reaches its boiling point, the water starts evaporating. Now leave this water for some time. The water will evaporate slowly. Okay. And in the form of water vapor, all the water will be drawn off from the container. What will be remaining, children? Here the salt content will get remained. Okay. So this is the process which shows we can separate the dissolved substances. Okay. Especially the salt and the sugar content, etc. The substances which is dissolved in the water. Here we had taken an example of a solid substance and a liquid substance. We are separating one solid substance with one liquid substance. Okay, so liquid substance, that is water, is having the property to get evaporated into the air. Okay, so here the thorough water will evaporate in the air and the salt content will remain in the container. This is how we can separate the salt with the water with the help of the process of evaporation. Moving on to the next topic, children, that is condensation. What is condensation, children? The process of conversion of water vapor into its water form is known as condensation. Okay, in the last topic we had seen the conversion of water into water vapor, that is known as evaporation. Now just the vice versa, that is conversion of water vapor into its water form is known as condensation. How do we utilize this method for separating the substances? Suppose let's have an activity. To see the usage of this process. Suppose now we are having salt and water again. Okay. Now I need the salt as well as water to be separated and collected differently. How we will going to do that? Same method, children. Just take one container and a burner. Lit this burner. Okay. Fill the salt containing water in this beaker. Here, after reaching its boiling point, the water will start evaporating. Okay. Now suppose I cover this with a lid. Okay. This lid is containing one spout opening. Okay. Suppose this container is containing one spout opening. After reaching its boiling point, children, you will observe the fumes are coming out of it. Okay. Now, keep one cover near the spout, near the opening of the container, and place some ice cubes over this. Suppose I had placed some ice cubes over this cover. Okay. What will happen, children? After collision of fumes with the lid, the water will start condensing. Okay. That means the water will again start converting into its water form, that is from the water vapor into its water form. Okay, and if I keep another container here, suppose if I had kept another container here, the water will start falling into the container. Okay, what we had done, that we had lit the burner and placed one container containing salty water. Okay, as soon the water will reach its boiling point, the fumes will come out of its spout, and we keep one cover just near to the spout. That cover is containing ice cubes over it. So what it will do? It will start cooling the fumes which are coming out of the spout. Okay, and as soon the water gets cooled up, it starts condensing. What will happen after condensing? As we have studied, that water vapor will convert into its water form. Therefore, this water vapor will be converted into water and start falling into the container. Hence, we will get water here separately and salt will be remained inside this container. Okay, so this is the process with the help of which we can separate salt and water. Okay. Let's have a look, children, at the next topic. Use of more than one method of separation. Sometimes, children, we get a mixture of substances where we apply different methods of separation that we had seen earlier. Okay, we apply those methods to separate the mixture of substances. Let's have a look here, children. Let me give you one example. Suppose if I am having a mixture of salt, sand and water. How can I separate it, children? I can apply 2-3 methods to separate the mixture of salt, sand and water. Suppose here, children, I am having one container in which water is filled. Now I pour the salt and sand in it. Okay, suppose I had poured salt and sand in it. Now I stir it properly. Okay, now as I stir it, children, what will happen? The salt will dissolve inside the water, and what will happen to the sand? After some time, the sand will settle down at the bottom. What is that known as, children? That is known as sedimentation. Fine. So this sedimentation process. After this, what we will going to do? We will do decantation process. That is, I will pour out in a separate container only the water, and the sand will remain at the bottom. Okay, so this process is known as decantation. I had taken separately the salty water in different container. So now this container is containing salt and water. Inside this container we are having now 2 substances. Still this water, children, is somewhat muddy in nature. Whole mud will not come out with sedimentation and decantation process. So for that we will apply filtration process. We will take another container and I will keep one filtration tube over this. I'll put a filtration paper over here. Okay, and I will pour this water into this. What will happen, children? That the filtered water will come out and the mud will stick near to the walls of the filtration paper. Okay, so now we got the mud, that is sand, separately from the salt and water. Which process I had applied here, children? Filtration process. So I had applied 3 processes to separate sand and the mixture of salt and water. Now we got only 2 substances, salt and water. Now how can we separate it from the procedures that we had seen in the last activity? That is what, children? Now I will keep this container over the burner and I will lit this burner, suppose. What will happen, children? That this water will start boiling. After reaching its boiling point, suppose I had covered this with one cover. From this spout, children, the fumes will come out after reaching its boiling point. Okay, and here I will keep one cover that is containing ice cubes over it. Fine. As soon the fumes will come out, it will condense from this cover and the water will start dropping from this. I will collect this water separately in another container. So with the help of condensation process and evaporation process, we had separated here. What were the 2 methods? Evaporation and condensation. With the help of these 2 methods, I had separated salt and water separately. Okay, so now here 5 methods I had utilized to separate the mixture of salt, sand and water. What are those 5 methods, children? Sedimentation, decantation, filtration. After that, evaporation, condensation. Fine. Moving on to the next topic, children, saturated solution. A solution which cannot dissolve further amount of solute at a particular temperature is called saturated solution. Let's take an example, children. Suppose I am having a beaker and I had poured water in this. Fine. Now I am adding salt in this water. So what do I get? Salt and water solution. Fine. The substance that I am adding into the solution is known as solute. And the substance in which I am adding the solute is known as solution. Fine. So suppose if I am adding salt into the water, what will happen, children? That it will dissolve in it. Okay. Now, suppose if continuously I am adding this salt. Fine. Let's take, I am adding 1 tablespoon. I will stir it. After some time, I will add another tablespoon of salt. After some time, I will add another tablespoon of salt in water. What will happen, children? Continuously it will be dissolved inside the water and it will get vanished. Okay. After some time, children, the salt will stop dissolving in this water and it will settle down at the bottom. Why is it so, children? because now the capacity of water to accept the solute inside it will be over. Therefore, this particular solution will be known as, children, saturated solution. Okay.
So students, this is your homework. Solve assignment number 1 which have been uploaded on your EdQuark site. Okay. Do all the questions which are given in assignment in your fair notebook.